What's up, everybody, and welcome to my lyric analysis of our song, Reticent. Now, this is a song that we just recently released back on October the 9th, 2020, and I know that a lot of people are kind of wondering what the motivation for this song was, both lyrically and just overall why we did it. Now, if I go on a ramble a little bit here, don't mind that. I'm not using a script or anything like that. I'm just kind of talking off the cuff. So first and foremost, I just want to say that Reticent is kind of a song that's about multiple things. So number one, it's about the opioid crisis that we face, obviously, like as a nation, right? But I mean, I'm from New Hampshire, and that's where it's really prevalent. It's also about my mom, who she didn't pass away from a heroin overdose, so to speak, but what happened was she used a dirty needle, essentially, and she got sepsis. This was back in August of 2015. So from there, she was in the hospital in an induced coma for a number of weeks, and then she eventually came out. And I think what happened was, really, what happened was is she got hooked back on it again. And what ended up happening wasn't an overdose, but it was a pulmonary embolism because, she was kind of, I wouldn't say she was bedridden or anything like that, but they said that after sepsis, to kind of watch for that. And there was, I guess, like a weekend-long thing where she was really sick, and I didn't really have a lot of contact with her at the time. In fact, the last time I had saw her, we really weren't on good terms because I was very disappointed in her, because I grew up essentially without a mom. She was arrested back in the year 2000, and she was in prison and in a halfway house, and then she got out, and I went to go live with her, and then I wasn't living with her, and it was tough. I didn't really have the best relationship overall with my mom, but then it also goes beyond that. A lot of my family members, including my own dad as well, all have their own history with drug problems. My aunts and uncles have been arrested numerous times for, whether it's trying to smuggle stuff into a jail or, have somebody from up here mail them drugs through the mail down to. It's been crazy. So really, this song kind of touches on all of that. And so what I want to do is kind of walk through piece by piece, and let's talk about it. So, starting off, we have the lyric, capsized in a sea of misery, a child overdoses on his own anxiety. This too shall pass. Close my eyes, say a prayer, it's out of my hands. So the first line there, capsized in a sea of misery, really that's just kind of talking about me being a child, and there's a lot of anxiety and a lot of just very sad, somber feelings when you grow up in an environment where people are using or doing drugs or dealing drugs, and it's just all around you. A child overdoses on his own anxiety. Again, that kind of just plays, it's kind of a play on words, right? Because obviously when you think of drugs, you think of overdoses. So obviously anxiety isn't a drug, but it's just, it's just so much that it's hard to handle, that kind of thing. This too shall pass. Close my eyes, say a prayer, it's out of my hands. When I was a kid, I lived in a bunch of different places. In fact, I remember in college I did a project for this where I think I've lived in over 20 different places, with a lot of that being as a kid, and I'll put up some graphics of some of the places and whatnot. But essentially, you kind of just try to get through day by day, because every day wasn't just horrible, right? Some days were okay. I had some friends and stuff like that I could spend time with. But overall, there was a lot of chaos, so to speak. So really, this is kind of introducing me as the character here as a child. So we go to the next part here. Can anybody hear me? Does anybody see me? I need saving, please. Which a lot of people like that part because I kind of made the please into a blah. But can anybody hear me? Does anybody see me? I need saving, please. So, I'm not really necessarily a religious person, but I do attribute something, whether that is just I had the right life experiences in order to just rise above this situation. Because to this day, I've never done any kind of drugs. I've never drank alcohol. I mean, I've had numerous knee surgeries, and it was very difficult for me to even take a painkiller for that because I was just so, like, against that kind of stuff. So I'm not necessarily saying like there was God or anything like that that helped me get out of this situation, or somebody that I was speaking out toward for help. But I think it's just I kind of just wanted somebody to notice me, to kind of be like, you know what, this kid is really struggling, and he's doing it the best that he can. He's trying to climb out of this situation. So the next part here, we have, am I the only one who sees it? That line there, you know, because I felt like growing up, you know, I think people, even within my own family, but people on the peripheral, right, like friends and whatever, like they knew about it, but nobody really ever like said anything like, hey, this is effed up. There's kids here, because the main house that I grew up in, there was a ton of people. I mean, like 15, 16 people. Just, I was sleeping on the floor, all that crazy stuff. And it's like, and it was weird because from my point of view, I knew all this was going on. The other people around me had to know what was going on, but nobody ever said anything. Ashamed to admit it's you. That's kind of me talking at the adults. You know, I don't even know if there was any shame. With some of them, maybe. I know with my mom, there was definitely a lot of shame. And it was one of those things that was very difficult for me to kind of be like, you know what, she feels very bad about this. And I held it against her for a long, long time. I mean, honestly, a part of me kind of held it against her up until the end of her life. Seductive destruction. Conjures an interstice between vicious cycles. So that part there, seductive destruction, because, you know, the heroin, you know, gives you, I've never done it, but obviously I think we all kind of can describe it at this point, is that it gives you a feeling that's unlike any other. So while it's seductive, it's also very destructive, because especially for me as a child, or just family and whatnot, conjures an interstice between vicious cycles. So basically what I'm saying there is that there's these little points in between that are okay, but they're very small. There's very small windows. You know, whether it was, like I said before, there was a lot of days where it would be okay, but like in the grand scheme of things, when I look back at my life's timeline, right, there's very small moments in between where there wasn't some kind of, I don't want to use the word drama, but some kind of chaos that was going on that involved this. So then we head on over here to Adam's clean section, where he sings. He says, "Can't you see what you done to me, a hole in my soul, a part of me forever alone." That's kind of self-explanatory, honestly, but you know, there is, to this day, you know, there's a part of me that I think back all the time that I'm like, you know what, like, what if, you know, my parents, you know, especially my mom, weren't addicted to drugs? What if I didn't grow up in this situation? You know, there's a part of me that is very, I don't want to say empty, but there is a part of me that I feel very kind of devoid of that family nurturing, so to speak, and I do cast blame on my family. I mean, I'm an adult now, so it's a little bit different, but when I was a kid, you're at the mercy of it. There's nothing you can do. So you're kind of just going along with it, and, you know, you're a kid, you go to school, you do your thing. So that's really that section there. We'll move on to the next section here. I am the product of the problem, looking you right in the face, walking among displaced, nothing replaced. So right there, I am the product of the problem. So for better or for worse, this is who I am. I am the product of, you know, a child who grew up with family members, parents that were addicted to drugs. Looking you right in the face. this is kind of a double meaning, kind of, because at one point it's me kind of looking at other people who, you know, like I don't hold anything against people who aren't necessarily dealing with this, but it is a big issue, and I feel like a lot of people just kind of don't really mind it, or, you know, you see it on social media all the time, you know, like, oh, look at this junkie, look at this crackhead, you know, all that kind of stuff. They kind of look at them as lesser, which I understand that, you know, when you just look at it as a person on social media, but you don't think, does this person have kids? Blah, blah, blah. So the other part of it as well, looking you right in the face, this is me looking at my family like, look at this. You guys put me in this situation. I had to endure this for so many years. And, you know, I'm not exactly, you know, a millionaire or super successful or anything like that, but I've done a lot more than them, to put it bluntly. And I did that just in spite of them, I mean, overall not being great. I mean, thank God for, like, my grandmother, you know, who was kind of, a lot of ways, my saving grace, and thankfully my friend James, his parents were awesome for me growing up as well. They kind of gave me that stability that I never really had. So walking among displaced, so I'm in the thick of things with everybody else, but I feel very away from everybody because I feel like I've lived so much life even at such a young age. Nothing replaced. So basically what I am saying there with nothing replaced is, although I'm kind of walking among and like I'm kind of out of it and with everybody else, nothing's really replacing that. It's just kind of, again, to use the word, it's really devoid of anything. So now we're going to get to the final three sections here. This is where the breakdown comes in. It says, this must be addressed. A mother at death's doorstep. The children mourn in silence. Enough is enough. How much longer must we suffer at the grips of this? So this kind of, I'm kind of going away from me, so to speak, as a child, but kind of a more broader picture. So this must be addressed. Okay. A mother at death's doorstep. Because, you know, there's a lot of other kids who I'm sure whose parents are at death's doorstep, but this is also just drawing off my own experiences with my mother. The children mourn in silence. Because, let's face it, the kids, like I said, they're kids. You know, they don't have a Twitter account or a Facebook, or, you know, nobody knows. I mean, people can, like, read a statistic and they would know, but nobody really knows how each individual kid is feeling. So enough is enough. How much longer must we suffer at the grips of this? So that's kind of talking about the children that have to deal with parents or family members or whoever's in the process, whoever, you know, is technically responsible for them. You know, enough's enough. How much longer must we suffer? But this is also just, you know, this could be even nationwide. Like, how much longer must we, just as a nation or as a community, suffer at the grips of this? So last parts here. Forced to acclimate to an environment in which we did not create. Going back to being a kid. Forced to acclimate, because that's exactly what it is. You have no choice. This is it. This is your situation. That's it. To an environment in which we did not create. So we're acclimating to this environment. We had no part in it, but here we are. And lastly, it lay reticent. It knows no bounds, prescribing lifelong side effects. It came for them, it took from me. So, it lay reticent. So, pretty much like the way that I think of reticent in the context of this song is that it's something that's like, it's kind of silent and in the background. Like, I think people know about it, but nobody really, like I said before, nobody really identifies this or speaks about this. So, it's kind of there, but in the background. It knows no bounds because it doesn't, right? It's really up to the people that are consuming it or you know, distributing it. It doesn't matter. It knows no bounds. Prescribing lifelong side effects. So I use the word prescribing there because although heroin's not really like a medicine, it's still like a drug. So I kind of wanted to use that kind of a term there, prescribing lifelong side effects, because it's not like you do heroin once, you're like, man, that was it. Okay, moving on. No, it never really works that way. It lasts forever, and even if Thankfully, there are people out there who do recover from it, but still, you don't know what happened. They could have lost their children. They could have went to prison. They could have lost their job. There's lifelong side effects that come from it. Even if it's not death, there's other things as well. It came for them. It took from me. So it came for them, meaning the heroin, you know, they sought it out and it sought them out. It came for them, but what it took from me was really a feeling of family, of stability, of a functioning household. You know, when you think of like the normal upbringing, right? You think of, you know, the parents are, you know, married or together. They have the kid grows up. You know, they say, all right, Johnny, you know, I know you're 16 now. It's time for you to get a car. I'll tell you what, son, you get half of the money and I'll give you the other half. We'll match it. And then you go off to college. But that never was remotely close to what I had. So it came for them, and it took a lot of things from me, not only materially, but just emotionally as well. But there you have it, guys. There is my lyrical analysis of the song Reticent that we just put out back last month in October, on October 9th, which was just 5 days actually before my mother's birthday. I hope you really enjoyed this. Let me know if you'd like me to do some other lyrical analysis videos for our songs. I kind of want to do more for other songs as well. I really like picking apart this stuff, especially my own stuff, because I know what it's about. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this, and we'll see you in the next video here on the channel. Take care.